Hello, my name is Dave and I've had an ostomy for 15 years, and I'd just like to share some information and things that I've learned over the years to take care of the ostomy and lead a normal life. The purpose of the video is to help others who've recently gotten an ostomy, or others that may have had an ostomy for a period of time but are having issues or just want to possibly learn from my experience. So as I mentioned, I had the ostomy for 15 years. I was diagnosed in 2008 with rectal cancer, and the surgeon needed to remove a large portion of my digestive system. And so at this time I have a permanent colostomy. And although I felt bad about having this diagnosis and having an ostomy, I realized that this would save my life and allow me to continue doing the things that I like to do. And there are over 500,000 people in the US today that have ostomies for one reason or another, including cancer or diverticulosis or IBS or Crohn's or any other reason. But so right now I'd just like to share how I go about dealing with my ostomy, and start out by talking about the process I go through to change my barrier each week. First thing I do is I use an adhesive remover wipe, which will remove most of the adhesive before I clean the skin. And then I'll take a shower, and I use ivory soap because it doesn't have any chemicals and will keep the skin free from irritation or other issues. And one of the most important things is to keep your skin in good condition so that there's no growth or issues underneath the barrier. So after I do that, I then I use a two-piece system. I've tried different products, but I like the Combatech barrier and pouches, and I use a two-piece system. So what I do is I warm up the actual barrier, and I make sure my skin is totally dry. I use a hair dryer to dry it, and just let the skin breathe for several minutes so that everything is dry and clean. And then I use a skin barrier wipe to make sure that the actual barrier doesn't stick to the skin and cause any damage. So this is applied, and then I make sure that's dry, and then I go ahead and put the barrier on. And then one of the things I do before I put the pouch on is I also use a moldable cohesive ring that'll help protect the stoma. So I pull this into position and put this around the stoma, and then I go ahead and put my pouch on. And at this point, everything is fitting good. And I found if I do have leaks, I most likely will have them within the first few hours after changing. After that, things are on nice and snug, and I don't have any issues at that point. Now, some of the things that can go wrong is if you find that you have a little bit of bleeding around the stoma, you can use tea bags actually that'll help stop the bleeding. And this is usually enough. If I put those on for a few minutes and just hold it against the stoma, the bleeding will stop. Another thing that I may find is that there's some irritation on the skin, and you can use a protective powder such as this stoma adhesive, which will kind of deal with the fungal growth. It's kind of like Desenex, but I use this on occasion when I find that there's some irritation due to sweating from sports or whatever, and this will pretty much clear up the problem. So after I do that, then I pretty much good to go for 3 or 4 days before I go through the process again. Now, as I mentioned, I use a two-piece system, and so after I use the bag, I dispose of it in a slider bag and just throw that out. I also keep some pouches and bags with me wherever I go, have some in the car. Sometimes I might stick one in my pocket. That way I'm ready to, deal with the issues as they come up. So one of the other things that I'd like to kind of talk about is ostomy leakage. There's a lot of words on this document, but basically there's some ways to deal with it that are recommended. One is to use a ostomy belt, and this is called Stealth Belt. Helps to reduce the leaks and improves your confidence and allows you to have more time between changing your barrier because things fit snugly. And you can see there's a website where you can go to procure that. Another thing that I've run into is issues with some sounds that you trying to prevent. So depending on what you're eating, this can definitely affect any type of gas that you may get. So you can take a look at this. You'll see that there's gas producing foods. There are foods that could cause blockages. So you have to be really careful about what you eat. I also find that walking, which I do a lot of, is very helpful in keeping your system running efficiently. Another thing I've learned about is swimming. For me, if the water is cold, it's definitely better than if it's warm because the seal will stay on, be good in a cold water environment. With warm water, it sometimes can loosen things up and make it difficult for swimming. But there's also some devices that you can get that'll help when you're swimming, that'll kind of allow you to keep things tight to your body and eliminate some of the possibility of getting loose system. Now, in terms of Ostomy Secrets, this is a website where you can go to find different things that you can use to maybe help in times when you want to be intimate. There's also things like mini bags that you can get. There's a wrap that you can purchase through them, and these things are all things that you can find on the Ostomy Secrets website. So another thing that I've used is this belt here for racket sports. This is what they call a stoma guard, and with this you just wrap this around and use this to protect the stoma so that if you get hit by the ball that it won't actually touch the stoma. So that's another device I use. Another thing that I will do is if I'm traveling and I don't feel like I'm going to be able to dispose of my used bag, I might bring a one-piece drainable pouch, and with that then I don't have to find a place to dispose of my bag. So here's how that works. Let's see, another thing that I've learned over time is to reduce the gas. I always keep some gas X handy, and this helps with that situation. Another thing I'd like to kind of share with you is the support group that I've been involved in over the years. It's the United Ostomy Association, and if you're not involved in a support group, I highly recommend it. I actually started attending the one in my area before I even had my surgery, just to talk to people who've had it, to learn what they were experiencing and to get some guidance from them. And they're extremely helpful. And there are many of these groups around the country. So I suggest that you look into that. There's actually a support group finder that will allow you to put in your zip code, and it'll tell you where you can find a local group. And if you're not in an area where they have one, you can find groups that may have like Zoom meetings monthly. And the one I attend is excellent, and they have Zoom meetings right now, and eventually we'll have live sessions again. But and if you can't find one, you can join the one that I'm involved in. And if you put in zip code 95678, you'll find the Carmichael, California group. And with these groups, you'll find people that have run into the same issues. They can give you tips and support, with things that come up. The other resource is the Ostomy nurse. They're very helpful, and they can pretty much help with any issue that may come up. So overall, I'm just wanting to let you know that there are ways to have a normal life with an ostomy. And if you have any comments or suggestions, please let me know, and I'd be happy to help out any way I can. Thank you.